that's the thing. It's like, okay, I prospect anyway. I do other things to generate new business. And also, like, if I lose business, right? Like, you lose a listing, you lose a buyer, it happens. I used to take it very personal when I first started, and then my mindset changed. And yeah, it stinks for a little bit. But I always, once I put my mindset, like, you know what? You lose some, you win some.
Yeah.
And it always happened because I lose something and I get something else.
Hi, welcome to Plenty. I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode with Maya Vander, who is well known from being on several seasons of the top show, Selling Sunset. So Maya is a real estate professional. She is very straightforward. And in this episode, we talk about sales. And we talk about the power of being strategic and yet also relational in any business to get more leads and grow your business. We also talk about manifesting. You are going to love the story of how she manifested her husband. And we go so many beautiful places. Certainly, if you are a real estate professional or if you are looking to grow your business in any way in real estate or otherwise, this is an episode for you. You're going to get some great tips. Brief content warning. We very briefly touch on pregnancy loss. Enjoy the episode with Maya. Welcome to Plenty. I'm your host, Kate Northrup, and together we are going on a journey to help you have an incredible relationship with money, time, and energy, and to have abundance on every possible level. Every week, we're going to dive in with experts and insights to help you unlock a life of plenty. Let's go fill our cups.
Please note that the opinions and perspectives of the guests on the Plenty podcast are not necessarily reflective of the opinions and perspectives of Kate Northrup or anyone who works within the Kate Northrup brand.
Welcome. Thanks
Wow.
for being here, Maya.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my God.
I'm feeling the pink. I love it. It's so pretty.
I'm so glad you're here. It's so fun. So before we started recording, we were talking about manifesting and manifesting coaches, which was just sort of funny. But I want to know, you said you manifest things, and maybe you should talk about that more.
I should. I mean,
what are your manifesting practices,
the wrong
and what have you
business.
manifested?
So I was single in LA, just out and about, but I wanted to have a relationship. Anyway, I did a vision board, which I mentioned briefly on Selling Sunset because I cut pictures, right? Like wedding, vacation, and I wrote a description. I want my guy to be in finance or real estate, either from Chicago or Boston. Don't ask me why.
So specific.
I know. At least 6.1, brown hair. And that's literally my husband.
Where's he from?
Chicago, and he's in finance, and he's 6.1.5, 6.2, and then he's brown hair. I mean, I did kind of like see Tom Brady in my vision, but
So you didn't marry Tom Brady.
I did not marry Tom Brady. But I mean, I love my husband.
You do kind of look like Giselle.
Yeah, well,
yeah, it's like a little bit of a.
I'll take that.
You be
I
cousins.
like Giselle.
Yeah, she's great. She's newly pregnant.
I saw that.
Isn't that amazing?
You know
Healthy,
what?
45. She's going to deliver at 45. So you have 3 kids.
Yes.
3 kids. 1.5, 4.5, 5.5.
Yeah, back to back. And by the way, I planned them all. It was all on purpose. So people think it's
All on
was it an
purpose.
accident? No, I was.
Have you always been like that with planning your life?
Yes.
You ordered your husband.
I-
You planned the kids. Did you plan to
By the way,
become
even with
like
selling,
a reality show
let's talk
star?
about manifestation.
Yeah.
A true story. $1 million listing, 12 years ago, came out, right? Or maybe even more at this point. And I was watching it because I was just starting to do real estate 12 years ago, in LA. I messaged the producer for Bravo on Facebook. I'm like, you should do the same show, just with women. And he replied, that's a cute idea, but nothing
Cute.
happened. So if I was smart enough, I should have pursued that, because then I would be in a,
And you'd be an executive producer.
executive
of Selling
producer.
Sunset.
Exactly. But that's like talking about manifestation.
Wow.
And
that's
even when
interesting.
I joined the O group, I was the first lady. And I told my husband at the time, I'm like, I think that could be a cool reality show. The office is sexy, location is perfect. So, you know what? It just shows you, maybe it sounds cliche, but I do believe in mindset and really train your brain to achieve those things that maybe looks impossible because I didn't came to LA to be an actress. I mean, I was working in a clothing store. I got my real estate license. I wasn't thinking about it, but yeah, you kind of like, yeah, I mean, manifest things. So
I love that. How did you end up on Selling Sunset?
yeah, so I joined the office. Okay, I used to door knock. I used to be with a different office. I used to door knock up in the hills, and I used to see Jason's material in those doorsteps, and it was so sleek and sexy and perfect. And I'm like, how am I going to compete with this guy? He has like the track record, the office down the street. And then, oddly enough, he actually approached me on Facebook and asked and told me, like, hey, I'm opening an office. So I joined the office. I was the first lady. Then, other girls joined little by little. We did a photo shoot. The photo shoot went to a billboard on Sunset Plaza and on Hollywood Reporter, I believe, one of those magazines. The producer saw it and approached Jason, and boom, we had it took months, right? It's
I'm
not like,
sure.
oh, let's just
Yeah.
film. It took months, and we shot a demo, and I will say, I don't know if I should say it, but E! And Bravo did decline. So boo you, because Netflix picked it up, and it became huge successful, and everybody now wants to be in a reality show, including other agents from different cities. But Selling Sunset is number one. So
Selling Sunset is number one. How many seasons did you do?
I did 5.
Five
and there is
seasons.
eight total.
Wow. Okay, you did 5 seasons. And how did being on that show change your personal life?
I don't think it changed much because I am who I am. I was always like that. And in my mind, I'm still a real estate agent. But it is funny to see the reactions of people because they look at you more as a celebrity. And I think it's kind of like funny because it's like, oh my God, I saw Maya. But I'm not Kim Kardashian at the end. And I do real estate. That's really my full-time job. And so it didn't really change much. It just gave me the exposure. And I guess maybe more credibility.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough business.
Oh, yeah.
I know it looks easy on the show, but believe me, it's tough. I mean, I have showings after, and then I'm going to do some cold calling, and we're doing door knocking and everything to get business.
Okay, we're going to circle back to that because I love sales and I want to hear about your tips.
Oh my God.
Because I think we can learn a lot from you to sell anything, whether it's real estate or not. But coming back to the show, how much, when we watch these shows, of course, Selling Sunset is not like the most cutthroat, reality show,
Yeah.
of course. But how much are they just like...
Well, I don't know. Did you watch season 8?
How much are they messing with things behind the scenes to like add drama? And was that ever hard for you?
So the drama is real. But I will say, if let's say there is a little argument, something little, you can shoot 5 scenes around that argument to make it look more, oh my God, what's going on? Yeah. But unfortunately, the drama is real. Things happen. We've been filming for months. And, organically, you have a situation that happens. So, it sucks for maybe someone's personal life. It's great for TV. Can't have it all. When we sign a reality show, the contracts are very like, hey, we can do whatever we want with your character or whatever, and best of luck.
That's what you say. You just are
You
signing
sign up,
away.
you sign up
We're going to
for-
make you look however we're going to make you look. That's just the
No
way
control
it is.
over editing.
Woo!
I know.
Wow.
I know. And, so the pros and the cons, right? I got lucky with Selling Sunset. I think my character, which is me.
Yeah.
It's pretty much me. But, even I got some hate, and it's part of it. What can you do? People will hate no matter what.
Of course they will. Absolutely. And that's been a lifelong journey for me to like over time care less and less about it.
Yes.
Because, at the end of the day, people don't actually know you.
I
whatever
remember,
they say
even,
is
by
not
the way,
true.
even with the election, I remember
Yeah.
I said something very middle of the, it was like when Biden won. I said, thanks, Trump, good luck, Biden. Cannot get more Switzerland than that. I got so much hate on both sides. I'm like, so I've never mentioned any politics other situation I do mention, but that's anyways.
Yes.
But yeah, you get hate no matter what. You can't please everybody. But Selling Sunset, the drama is real. And that's just life.
That's just life. Did it help you on the business side? You said it didn't really change your personal life much. How did it change your business life?
Yes and no. Yes, I got clients who approached me to help them, and I'm glad and very thankful for that. because people will assume that either I'm in LA still doing the show or traveling back and forth, or they will think that I'm too busy, that I don't want to deal with that. And they forget that real estate is my business. It's my bread and butter. So for all the people who approached me and wanted me to help them, thank you so much, because it is my business and this is my passion. But people are intimidated as well. So it helps, but they do have that, oh, she's too famous, she's a celebrity, she's not going to help me find $1 million condo in Brickell, which I sell all day long. Obviously, I sell higher stuff too, higher price point, but I do it all, and we do rentals, like why not? Business is business, and you never know what can lead to the next sales. So it's very hard for me to decline business.
Because I know that I'm not a real estate expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know that some real estate experts say, no, you should niche down where it's like you only do luxury, or you only do starter homes, or you only do XYZ. So it sounds like you haven't taken that approach, and I would love to know
only on
why.
locations. Yeah, only like today actually I did decline a listing that could be good, but it's a little bit far.
Yeah.
Like an hour north, and I'm not too familiar with the area, so I can't be everywhere. If someone wants my advice on, and people, I don't know if they know Miami, but let's say Boca Raton or Palm Beach, it's an hour and a half. I don't know the schools. I cannot tell you where you can go, where Whole Foods is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so there is certain areas that I will not touch. So I will niche on an area. Now, I help first-time home buyers. I help investors. So I don't have the niche of the buyers but the location definitely I will scale down. I can't be everywhere, and neither I don't want to be everywhere.
Yeah.
I think it's like not good for the client.
Yeah. Also the traffic.
Exactly.
I mean, just practically
in
speaking,
Miami, you know.
like if you're doing all that driving, it's just impractical.
Listen, when I moved to to Miami, like 7 years ago, traffic wasn't bad. I don't think it's that bad either now compared to LA, but it became worse because people moved down here. So I don't want to spend 2 hours on the road to do a showing all the way. Unless someone want to give me like a $10 million listing in Palm Beach, I'll do it. But you know, it's just hard. And you know, I have the kids. I have to pick them up from school at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. So my time is very limited from the moment I drop them off to the moment I pick them up. Like I gotta like be focused and prioritize what I need to get done today. So to ask you about you order or you plan everything. I'm very good with scheduling. What I need to get done today? Am I going to cold call for an hour and a half? Am I going to like respond to Instagram messages for an hour? Like what am I going to do?
Yes.
To prioritize.
So what are your best tips for, first of all, I'm going to ask several questions about this. I want to know first, what are the boundaries that you set to protect your work hours, given that you do have 3 small children and like obviously other things going on in your life?
Yeah, I mean, look, real estate to us, like we always work on weekends. I try to at least have one day of the weekend off, usually I try Saturday. But like this weekend, I had clients in town from New York, and it was great. I showed them like 8 places. It was very productive. Yeah, and I'm not spending time with my kids, so it's not ideal, but it is the business that I chose. That said, I'm lucky that I can drop my kids off at school. I can pick them up at 3:30, 4 o'clock, spend time with them, and I don't have to come home at like 6 p.m. And then they go to bed. So, I have the flexibility in that sense. But like to your point, like I won't work like an hour or 2 hours away. I won't take listings there. I wouldn't, it just doesn't make sense for me because I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
I have a team which is helping me. Like I have a team, I have 6 ladies on my team. They're all great professionals. So if I cannot handle, certain situation, I will split it with
You delegate.
Delegate.
So that's one of the things that I think a lot of people in our community struggle with because of this idea that we've been conditioned to believe that we are more valuable the more we personally are doing things, and that somehow it's a sign of weakness or that we failed if we need to delegate something. So can you give an example of the sort of thing that would come across your plate that you would then delegate, and how do you handle that? Like some more details there.
Yeah, so for instance, like I have a transaction coordinator. She helped me with the contracts. She helped me doing DocuSign, electronic signature. That takes time. Like I can drive. And if my client is okay, where is the offer? I just have to review, make sure everything is okay. And it takes time.
Yeah.
That, my marketing, I'm really bad with marketing when it comes to like design. Like I'm not that person who will go on Canva and just create an amazing. So I do have a marketing person, and she designed my all my stuff, my mailers, my billboard, whatever I need to do, and that helps. So that's I delegate that. And with my team, if I see, for instance, we were supposed to get a listing North Miami. I cannot be there all the time, so I put someone on my team to it, and we can split it, or maybe I'll take a referral fee, whichever the deal, whatever the the amount of the deal is, and this way they can handle everything. Now I'm always CC'd on the email. I'm always involved in a sense that I oversee the transaction, because I'm not like just passing clients along. Like I make sure I'm still involved, but I can't do every showing and every inspection, and I'm very involved. I'm very control freak in that sense, but I can't, I want the client to get the best.
Yes.
So definitely giving it to someone on my team will be helpful, and it will be better for the client as well.
100%. Yeah. Well, as someone who is a client of, of course, many, many places and many things, like I like it actually when there are several people caring for me. Makes me feel good. Makes me feel like a queen.
I know, exactly. And I'm very involved, by the way. Don't get me wrong. It's just
of course.
But it just depends on the deal. If I cannot help someone rent $5,000 or whatever unit in Brickell, then one of my associates will do it, and they will give them 100%.
Yeah.
And if there is any issue, like I'm always there. But yeah.
Okay. You said you're going to go do cold calling this afternoon and then knocking on doors. So I think there are many people who could benefit from some of those more direct marketing techniques. I want to know, what are you doing when you're cold calling? Who are you calling? What are you saying? Tell me about the door knocking. I want to know the whole thing.
So cold calling, we have a couple of strategies. Either obviously real estate people will watch that and we're like, yeah, of course we do that too. Cancel listing, expire listing. Now I don't call the listing and just expire this morning, because they're going to get 25 other calls. I call people that their listing expired 6 months ago, 4 months ago.
That's in MLS,
MLS, the data. I have white pages. I have 3 other websites that can pull their number or potentially emails.
Okay.
If I have so that's one example of cold calling. And I'm like, hey, your listing was on the market. Are you still interested on selling?
Yeah.
Would you be open on meeting? And honestly, at this point, I'm just throwing my name and my brand, because selling Sunset have such a huge exposure to clients, and I can give them the best marketing more than any other agent. So why not? So I do mention that if I have the chance. If I have a client who is looking for something specific, I will circle around the area and cold call houses around the area. Maybe people who bought 7 years ago, they sit on a lot of equity. So that's another thing that I'll do. Door knocking, I do like to door knock houses that looks kind of like they're about to fall apart.
Oh, really?
Because, they sit on a lot of equity. There are a lot of investors or developer out there. And then if I can sell to a developer and a developer will flip it and maybe buy it through me, maybe I'll get the listing on the exit.
Smart.
The brand new construction. So there are a couple of strategies, where do I want to tackle? So that's kind of what I'm doing. But I'm going to start doing more just cold, people who I know, and I don't want to expose all my secrets here. But another targeting audience that I'm thinking about.
Yeah. You're being very strategic.
I'm strategic.
Yeah. So you're like, who's my ideal customer?
Yeah.
What are the ways that they would be identified? So your ideal customer is someone who wants to sell a property, obviously, right? So you're going to call expired listings. You're going to go knock on doors of houses that are falling apart, because those people are going to want to sell, and then get yourself positioned.
Oh, you get those people who say, I'm going to die here. And they're like, oh, come on, just sell, buy a nice condo on the beach, exit, get $3 million on your house. I know you have to pay the taxes, sucks, but hey.
Right.
So
you're hilarious.
Everybody has to pay taxes.
Come on. Yeah, no, it's super smart. And I think anybody listening who has a business or who's in sales of any kind can really be thinking through, how can I more strategically go upstream and get myself in the realms, in the circle, in the mind of my ideal customer before or at the moment when they're searching for a solution. So anyone can take your strategy and apply it. And I do want to encourage people listening, is there a strategy where cold calling would actually make sense for you? Back in the day, I used to have a vitamin business. So I was in direct sales, and that's actually how I met my husband, Mike, and we sold vitamins. And so I had a strategy where I would connect with holistic health practitioners and wellness centers. So I would go to events to network with them. I would call them. We had a whole way we did it, because I was like, okay, those people are reaching a broader audience. So I was far more strategic rather than like doing what everyone else did, which was just like constantly hounding your family and friends, right? Like that's not ultimately a good business strategy.
And you know what? It's interesting you mention it because, I mean, by the way, I'm a great network. I mean, I don't have a lot of time to do happy hours and all that because of the kids, but I do like to bring people together. So I try to do events for, the moms from the school and all that, but just because I like to have people together. But I will say that most of my business, interestingly enough, it's with people that I never met in my life, stranger. Like not necessarily, well, my family, I don't have big family, they're overseas. Family and friends, like it's interesting.
So
most
people find you,
randomly,
you've never met
them
them in
my
your
life.
life, and they're your clients.
I think there is something weird with friends too, that they might not be open to expose their financial or whatever. It's like, they don't understand that. For me, I see that all day long. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you have $1 million in the bank or 5 or 10. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, to me, it's like, let me find you the house or let me move you to the next house. I don't care what you have. I keep things very confidential with my clients. I don't go and gossip. Oh, this guy has.
Of course not.
But yeah, people maybe feel a little bit awkward. But yeah, like a lot of I had online leads. I mean, I built a great business with online leads back then. I mean, Zillow was a great source of business for me.
I
with
love
real estate.
That's great. Well, and to your point about like people get scared about revealing their financial details, money is such a taboo topic in our culture, right? And you are dealing with big transactions every single day. You're dealing with the behind the scenes of people's money every day. So what might you have to share that you've gathered over the years of being a real estate professional?
Even if I ask people, what's your budget? Because that's the first thing that I want to know. What's your budget? Based on that, I'm going to narrow the search.
Right.
But people sometimes don't want to tell me what's their budget because they feel like I'm going to they bidding against themselves. But I'm like, no,
because they're making it mean something. They have a story going about what their budget is, but you don't. You're neutral.
Yeah. So it's like, for me, it's like, okay, if you're looking up to $1 million, then I know I'm going to look up to 1.2 because we can probably negotiate. If you give me 1.5, then I can even go 1.7. So it's a big difference for me, to know. But yeah, I mean, some people are weird like that with the budget, especially when you're buying. I'm like, you want to be honest with your agent. So hello.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then and also I found out that actually the people who buy more higher end price point, they're less picky than the people who buy a $500,000 condo.
Yes.
The transaction it's almost easier.
That's something that I find in my industry too. So there's a funny meme that kind of goes around in my industry, which is like $500 client is like, I don't know. Can you tell me more about how this is going to fit my needs and this? And I have 35 more questions. And then a $50,000 client is like, great, I wired the money.
Yeah. Awesome.
And that is really interesting. And it's funny because I heard you say the same thing on the Financial Feminist podcast, and I wanted to unpack it a little bit more. What do you think that is about the size of the transaction, right? Because we might assume, the bigger the transaction, the more questions people would have. The bigger the transaction, the more reservations people would have. And both of us have experienced that that's not the case at all. What do you make of that?
I think it's just maybe more savvy. Maybe it's their third transaction, fourth transaction. They probably own couple. In my case with real estate, they own couple of properties. So for them, it's like, okay, it's another one.
Yeah.
They maybe less emotional about it. I mean, look, residential real estate is very emotional, and I am a therapist in that sense. And I'm totally fine.
You're a real estate therapist?
I can be actually a very good therapist. I'm a listener. I like to listen, and I like to ask questions about people because I'm curious. Now, people might think it's noisy, but I'm like, no, how are you doing today? Are you okay? What happened? I'm curious. Not because I don't know, that's just my natural personality. But yeah, in the smaller price points, maybe it's their first time purchase and they're like, oh gosh, I barely put the 20% down. And I understand that too. So I understand both sides. It's nice to have that easier one sometimes. Because
for you, for sure.
I know, for the energy, you spend, and it's like, just make a decision. Already have 3 kids. You still haven't bought something, bought something. I have a client like that, actually. It's like, I just opened a search form, okay, when you're ready, just you let me know, because I'm tired of following up. And that's the thing, it's like, you follow up in sales, but it's like, at some point, when do you stop following up? I don't know.
When do you have a system for that?
We have a client who's been looking for 2 years now, and we see him looking, and we see him active, and I'm like, I mean, I send email blast. Maybe I'll send a message in there, hey, what's going on? But at some point, I'm like, it's either you're gonna buy or you don't. Like, I already I moved from LA. I moved to places. I met the kids, and I'm like, you still haven't bought anything. So, at some point, I do give up sometimes. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know I shouldn't, but it's like, come on.
Well, but for every client who is taking years to buy, there's also a client who's ready to buy who you haven't met yet. So I think it's actually a smart energy conservation practice.
Exactly.
We used to say in my sales business, it's easier to give birth than to resurrect the dead. So in terms of constant follow-up, we would just say eventually you need to just find a new client.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, okay, I prospect anyway. I do other things to generate new business. And also if I lose business, right? You lose a listing, you lose a buyer, it happens. I used to take it very personal when I first started, and then my mindset changed. And it stinks for a little bit, but then, by the way, sting, not stinks, just in case, stings, baby.
Both ways. It
Both
stings
ways.
and it stinks.
But then I'm like, but I always, once I put my mindset, you know what? You lose some, you win some.
Yeah.
And it always happens because I lose something and I get something else because I put my energy and my effort out there. So I can cold call, I can do the door knock. Maybe nothing will happen with that. But I don't know, something with the energy someone can send me all of a sudden an email and they will look maybe to buy or sell. Yes. So I totally believe in all that, energy.
I'm glad you said that because there is something desperate energy, that sense of clinging and holding on, oh my God, I lost this client and is repulsive.
Yeah.
It just is. It's when people sense desperation
Yes.
or that clinginess, they don't want to work with you versus when they sense Maya, it has this sense of abundance and trust and there's enough to go around. It's a much more relaxing interaction from a sales perspective for a customer when you have that open palm kind of energy and really trusting the flow.
And I'm also very honest with the clients. I just did a presentation with another client of mine yesterday for pre-construction project. And I was very honest with her what I think for each project, why yes, why no. Let her decide, but obviously try to guide as much as I can, but I'm not that pushy.
Right.
And with your open palms, it's actually interesting because if you take sand and you close it in your palm, it's going to drip all the way. And if you let the sand just sit, it's going to sit. So, and even when I started real estate, because I was in LA, LA is expensive and real estate is obviously, took me 9 months to sell my first property. I had 4 other jobs until because I didn't want to be desperate for money. When I first started, I wanted to make sure I have the income. And once I sell and I have a good sale that can hold, that I can be stable for a few months and not be stressed about the next transaction, that's when I quit all my other jobs. And that's when I could shift my focus only on real estate.
I love that.
I didn't want to be desperate.
No, you don't want to be desperate. Did you ever read the book, Eat, Pray, Love, the Elizabeth Gilbert book?
No, but
it's a great memoir.
Yeah.
So one of the things that she talks about is that she had other jobs until that book was already a New York Times bestseller.
Interesting. So it's the same thing I did.
Same thing, because she didn't want the pressure of her art to have to support her, because that can really squelch, I think, the creative flow, but it can also squelch the flow of abundance in terms of clients. I think it's the same thing. Okay, so I know you have a course for people who want to get into real estate or who want to improve.
Yeah.
What made you decide to start an online course, given that you also have a lot of other things going on?
Right. So Selling Sunset came out and I got so many messages and emails. What do I need to do? How do I do real estate? Where do I start? So the course, so then I'm like, I can't take my time and answer every email because I just don't have the time. So I'm like, let me create this course. It's very basic, but it gives you the guidance to new agents, maybe an agent that's been in the industry for 1 year. What else can you do? So I created it about 3 years ago. I haven't really promoted a ton. I probably should. And it's at Kajabi. You can purchase it and watch it at your leisure. And it just gives you a guidance on what you need to do as a real estate agent. Because honestly, what we see on Selling Sunset, it's not realistic in that sense. It's amazing if it was, but it's a hard business and it takes time and it's a process. And I learned it doing it for 12 years. And I moved to Miami and I had to start new business here in Miami. And I know, I have the show, but it's not, and it helps, but it's not enough. It's not enough. I still want to get those like $20, $30 million listings right here in Miami. And
Yes.
I have to compete with all these agents who've been doing it here for 15, 20 years. So that's my competition. And it takes time.
Yeah. No, it's really smart. I think also it's such a savvy way to have a body of knowledge, which you already do, to then package it in a way that people can consume it, organized, linear, all in one place, and such a smart way to field all the requests. So just thinking about leverage, like as you're listening, what do you have a body of knowledge about that you could gather it all up in one place so that people can access it? I just think it's like a very wise move that you did that. I know it's not like a huge part of your business, but just for people listening, like we all have a course in us.
I know, exactly. I'm going to
Get it
promote it actually
recorded.
today after the podcast, promote it on my social
Yeah,
media.
you should post it on your social.
I
and
know, I haven't
we'll
done
link it in
it.
the show notes. So for anybody who's in real estate. Okay, so I want to know, and I also, circling back, you just said like being on Selling Sunset is not enough. And people have an assumption that once they become well-known, right? Like you have over 1 million followers on Instagram, right? It's like we have this assumption that more eyeballs means more money. Okay. Why is that not necessarily true in your experience? Because you have made it very clear that you are out here being a real estate professional, and like being on a huge reality show did not suddenly set you up for the rest of your life, right? And that's the illusion that people have. So they chase being well known as opposed to well skilled. What have you found around that?
Selling Sunset is a great exposure, and obviously every reality show, because you get I call it the 5 minutes of fame. But in order to stay relevant, you have to do TV all the time, like the Kardashians. I mean, they've been doing it for years and they're still relevant, and they a bunch of drama and all that. But and they make it like, that's their business. But for me, like I do real estate, and that's what it's not reality TV. So I have a lot of followers, but not necessarily all of them are buyers or sellers.
Right.
Now they may, and I get eyeballs on my social media, but it's not like I can, and I get endorsement, I get paid and so on, but it's not as consistent, right? Because today you are relevant, tomorrow it's the new reality person. And so it's great to be part of it, but long term, I'm like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Right? And to me, like I've been doing real estate for 12 years, so that's what I do. And obviously if I can be full-time influencer and do that and make a living out of it, I'll do it. But then that means to me, I have to give up on real estate, because I mean, I want to talk about my struggle to lose body weight and do I need to do, whatever, nip and tuck. But then I'm like, am I going to have a client to look at that and like, oh, she's like doing, influencer stuff on Instagram. Like, should I hire her to sell my $10 million listing or whatever, or even $3 million listing?
Right.
So it's a decision I have to make, which is tough a little bit because I love real estate. That's my job. But I have 1 million followers over Instagram that I not necessarily, to your point, monetize as much as I could. Because if I do more mom stuff and whatever, diet and losing weight, which we all can relate to, maybe I will get more brand endorsement and all that, but maybe I can lose my real estate clients. So
yes,
I'm not ready to do that yet. But
no, totally. Because as you said, that's a completely different business. And I think anyone listening
they need to focus,
is on social media in any capacity to grow their brand, grow their business, really needs to be thinking about what you just said and asking, is what I'm posting relevant for my ideal customer to increase the likelihood that they are going to buy from me? Because I could do all kinds of things on social media that would get a lot of views, that would go viral. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't do that I could that would grow my following.
Yeah.
But will they grow my revenue? And those are two very different things. Like,
right.
Visibility is different than money. And sometimes they come together, but sometimes they don't. And there's a lot of people who make the assumption, right? So they're starting out on social and they're trying to grow their followers, which is great. Like you said, if you're doing sponsorships and brand deals, like if that's your business model, amazing.
Do whatever you need to do.
That's not my business model. It's not your primary business model. So asking those questions, like what does my ideal customer need to know and receive and experience and understand before making a buying decision, That's the content we want to be posting, right?
Right, exactly. And it's sad because if I do real estate content on my Maya Vander, where the million followers
Yes.
are, gets less engagement.
Sure.
But maybe I'll get that one client.
Well, see, that's the thing,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes when we do more specific content that is like more organized around creating a conversion for our ideal customer, it will get less engagement. However, the engagement that it does get converts into customers. And at the end of the day, I'm not here to be famous. I'm here to help people and make money. And so I'd rather do that content than, I mean, a mix, because you want both. But I think it's just important. We can get so diluted in thinking that like more eyeballs is the goal. More eyeballs is not the goal necessarily, unless you're a professional influencer.
Right.
In which case, carry on.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to switch gears and talk about real estate investing. So do you personally do any real estate investing? Is that something, is like an area that you know about?
No, you know why? Like my husband is in finance also, he's in private equity. So he invests in the companies that they buy and the return is frankly much higher.
Amazing. So you're covering your investing in private equity.
Yeah, with him. So my investing, I'm a boring person when it comes to that because I put the money in like money market accounts.
Yes, great.
For like decent interest and I don't play too much.
Smart.
Maybe I should to be more because it's going to be more lucrative in the long term. I do want to own real estate, obviously. The return didn't make sense. Like, and obviously right now everything is so expensive and I kind of missed the boat from like 5 years ago. That was the time to make money.
Yeah.
Now it's like...
Yeah, we should have all bought in Miami in 2018.
I know. And we bought in 2019, but now we're not moving anywhere because we can't move anywhere.
If you sell your house, then you have to buy another house.
And pay 6% plus interest. So
no, it's
like,
ridiculous.
No thanks.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm so glad you said that because my financial advisor, we were looking at buying an investment property in Maine in this summer community that we go to. Because I was like, we spend so much renting in the summer. Maybe we should buy a property and be able to rent it on the shoulder season. And then throughout the year. And maybe we could like at least pay for our summers.
That's what my friend does in North Carolina.
Okay, I love that. So we were thinking about that. But then I was talking to my financial advisor and she was like, honestly, like, what I would do is just put aside the money to rent for the summer and just like not deal with the headache of owning a property because the returns, if you take the money you were going to put as a down payment and invest it in the market, very similarly to how you do, like she was like,
you got 4% in the bank.
The returns are going to be better, you know? And I thought that was just really helpful for me because I have always, I don't know, for me, real estate, is like very appealing. Like I'm really into houses. I look at real estate instead of social media.
Places in even like Portugal or whatever.
Right?
Like, but I'm like, when am I going to fly there? When am I going to use it?
Exactly.
But the thing is also, you know, like with real estate, you have like so many people make so much money with real estate, but it depends. Like you have the income property, you have the shopping center, you have multifamilies and all that. But yeah, buying a house and let's say rent it off season or I have so many clients, I want to do the Airbnb. But you know, in Miami, really, if you think about it, the prices are not that low anymore.
No.
You have HOA fees which went, you know, they're higher these days. You have your property taxes that you have to pay every year to, you know, the government. So if you really deduct everything, you have to really and you have vacancy and all that. So you have to run all these numbers to really see if it makes sense. And if you come to like 4% return, I might as well just put it in like, Vanguard account or whatever, JP Morgan or whatever and get like 4% and I don't have to deal with anything.
Even my high yield savings account gets me more than that.
Like, my Amex actually is like 4 point something.
Yeah, we're getting 5%. So like, yes.
So that's why. So I would say like for real estate, it's good if you want to really spend time there and that's your home. And then if you know you want to sell in 3 or 4 years and it appreciated, amazing. But even now, like I sold a nice condo to my client. He bought it pretty well, you know, like a condo below sold already for 100,000 more. And he wants to sell it now. He's like, I didn't make any money. I'm like, yeah, in 2 years, you're not going to make money in real estate because you have closing costs. When you buy, you have to pay the title and escrow. When you sell, you have to pay the agent. Now, when you buy, also potentially the agent after the NAR lawsuits. But anyway, so it's like you have closing costs too. You have to count all of them to consideration because that could be 100,000 in closing costs. So if you buy today and sell like next year, even if it appreciates by 100,000 and you have closing costs. So I tell people, don't buy real estate and sell it, expect to sell it in 3 years and make a killing. The COVID days were like, honestly, unicorns. it doesn't really happen. Real estate doesn't appreciate like that much so quickly.
Yeah.
And depends also on the market. Miami obviously boomed because everybody left California and New York.
Switching gears, I know that you have some causes that are really close to your heart because of your personal experience.
Yes.
Do you mind sharing about that? I know we have a majority female audience, and I
Sure.
know that your experience may be helpful for
Yeah,
somebody.
of course. So I had like 4 pregnancy losses. 3 were miscarriages, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and then 10 weeks, which was sucks anyways. But, and then I had a stillbirth like 2 weeks before my due date. I was 9 months pregnant, felt less movement, went to the, dual ultrasound, everything looks normal. And then a few days later, no heartbeat. Very rare, like happened, bad luck. And it was a very bad time in my life. It was almost 3 years ago. Obviously, I think about my son every day. But going through this, it's something terrible. And when I posted about it at the time, I didn't think too much of it. I was in the hospital still in shock at what just happened. We filmed Selling Sunset. I was pregnant, and now I have to announce that, hey, I lost the baby. And I posted about it, and I got so many responses and messages. Like literally my direct messages on Instagram just went through the roof for women who experienced very similar situation, or maybe lost at 30 weeks, or lost twins at 20 weeks, and so many pregnancy losses and stillbirths, frankly. So I try to help as much as I can because I know how it feels. And I had organization that helped me. Aliyah in Action was one of them. Push for Pregnancy was one of them. And what is it? Grief in Care, all these, actually October is the stillbirth month, was I think October 17. I usually try to do like some guest appearance in those organizations, but this year I didn't. But anyway, I try to help as much as I can and at least share a list of resources, group therapy, private grief therapy, and so on. So anyway, everyone who experienced that, I'm there to help.
Yeah. And so you had support through those organizations. Obviously, you think about your son every day.
Yeah.
Do you feel like connected to him in terms of like communication in any way? I mean, I know it's sort of a strange question to ask.
No. It's like, I know. It's like, I'm trying, and I'm like, always like wonder, is there like kind of like life after death? And that's the, we can, we're talking about that book Signs, right? And
I remember we talked about that.
I have that book Signs.
Yeah.
Especially because I lost my dad a year later. But
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Sucks. It's just, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
But so I think about it, thinking about my son every day. But I did have my baby Emma after, and it really helped me. So she's my rainbow baby, and it's always like weird thinking, like if my son was here, she wouldn't be here, and it's just like weird. So it's like going back and forth. Wow, but then why did I lost my son? And people will tell you, it happens for a reason. No, but it's not making you feel better, right? But my daughter really brought me that joy, my rainbow baby. But it doesn't mean I stop, thinking or loving my son, Mason. And he's always going to be in my heart, in our family. We have picture of him in the house and so on. And I don't talk about him as much with the little one because, they don't understand too much death. Like, but I do understand how other women can feel about losses like that. And so I'm here to help.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. If there's someone who has recently experienced a loss or someone who has a friend who has, is there anything that you would pass along in terms of wisdom or something that was helpful for you?
I will say, avoid saying, it happens for a reason, you'll get pregnant again. And you don't want to hear those type of like advices. I just say, sorry, anything I can do, or take one day at a time, maybe buy a book that can comfort, or maybe send the list of resources or something to know that they're not alone.
Yes. Yeah. I think that no matter what any of us are going through, knowing that we're not alone is so powerful. I remember a friend of mine lost her husband very unexpectedly, and she's Jewish, and I had never been to
Jewish
shiva
funeral
before.
The shiva.
And I went, and it was so heartbreaking. And also I was so struck because my culture is not so good about this. Like, where
the community
the fact that she could sit and be surrounded by love, and it didn't make the grief go away, but at least she didn't have to be alone.
Yeah.
And I think that it just really struck me. It was one of the most beautiful things I had experienced. So, I know obviously that's your culture as well. And it was really beautiful.
Yeah. And like also when I lost my son, like our house was filled with flowers and food, and it just like you just see the love of the community. But going through grief sucks and it's terrible. So every time, like one of my friends, let's say they lose some, a dad, I have a book, it's called Grief One Day at a Time. It's mostly for someone we already knew versus like a newborn that I didn't really know, but it's a very good book. So anyway, I always send it to people and give it to people because it helped me, and that's my way to try to help others.
Thank you for that. That's really helpful. We'll link it in the show notes as well, and also these organizations that you had mentioned. Amazing. Maya, this has been such a wonderful conversation. I've loved getting to know you better.
Thank you.
I just absolutely loved it. And I think that you have so much wisdom to share about building relationships, strategic sales, but in a way that is very trusting and abundant. So
trying.
I think you're rocking it. I think you're just doing an amazing job. So if people want to connect with you, learn more, where should they do that? Obviously, if anyone's listening and they're in Miami and they're a home buyer or a home lister, Maya's your girl. But for anybody else around the world, where should they connect?
Yeah, so Instagram at Maya Vander. Yes. I have my website, but emails are always good because the DM sometimes they go to spam and it's very hard to catch those. So Maya at mayavander.com.
Amazing. Thank you.
LinkedIn, I'm everywhere.
All the places. Thank you for being here. We'll put all of that in the show notes. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Glossy, which is skincare you can drink. I have been using and loving Glossy for the past couple of months, and it combines a beautiful blend of clinically tested probiotics that actually survive in your digestive tract and hyaluronic acid, prickly pear, vitamin C, and so many other beautiful ingredients to help you glow and hydrate from the inside out. It is also delicious and convenient and refreshing. You can go to katenorthrup.com/glossy, GLOCI, and use the discount code Kate Northrup, all one word, to get 25% off your first order. Again, that's katenorthrup.com/glossy and use Kate Northrup at checkout for 25% off. Enjoy.